are murderers.
Rhonda, we have Lynn on the line. Lynn, are you a resident of that area?
Yes, I am. I live at 72nd and Lindbergh.
Lynn, do you have a question for us or an experience to share with us?
Yes, I believe I do. I had a healthy animal. He was only 7 years old, and I took him to the vet on a regular basis, and he was fine. And the veterinarian, he died. Like, all of a sudden, he developed a tumor that was cancerous, and within 28 days, he died. And the vet had told me that this was a contaminated area and that he was putting a lot of dogs to sleep on a daily basis now because of this area. And I didn't believe it at first, but, you know, I've heard a lot recently about this contamination in this area.
Now, Lynn, let me ask you, you didn't believe it before, did you know about this before the vet let you know about the other animals, or did you not believe it still after the vet shared with you?
Well, after the vet had shared with me that he's putting a lot of dogs to sleep on a daily basis now because of this contaminated area that we're living in, I didn't want to take it seriously, I guess, until, you know, I started seeing a lot of people around here that live in my area that were dying of cancer. And a lot of them were women, and they weren't that old. They were like in their 50s, and they were just like dropping like flies. And this one lady said to me, it's this area, it's this area. And I'm afraid for my life.
Lynn, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I have to get a plan together to get me and my child out of here. And, you know, I'm just worried. I mean, I don't drink the water here, but I bathe in it. I mean, is this detrimental too? I mean, you know, by washing your hair and your clothes and so forth, I mean, am I being contaminated, you know, by not drinking the water, just by using it to wash with and so forth?
Great, thank you for your call and sharing that story. How common is this story that you've heard over the years?
We haven't heard it except for this past year, because that's when we first became aware of it and began talking with one another about it. But I just want to say to Lynn that it's interesting because I had a cat, and I still have my cat. And when I first brought the cat home, he too developed a tumor on his back, and we recently had a tumor, in February of this past year, had a tumor removed from his back. But when I tell you that people are sick and dying, I am telling you the block that I lived on, Saturn Place, we're talking every other home where people have illness related to cancer, colon cancer, lung cancer, cancer of the breast, prostate cancer, cancer of the uterus, girls who are 15 and 16 who have cysts on their breasts and have them removed multiple times. We're talking about children who have bacterial infections that their doctors say are of unknown etiology. One young lady who was in the floodwater has had 10 operations on the lower part of her body to remove abscesses and cysts. I am talking about a study that was done in our neighborhood recently where 50% of the people who took the survey had either cancer, knew someone with cancer, or had indications of cancer themselves. This is a serious problem. It is an immediate health threat for which our governmental agencies should be taking seriously. And it shouldn't, you know, the response that we've been getting is that they're more concerned with the Heinz-Tinicum Reserve where the animals are dying than they are with our lives. And if the animals and the fish are dying and they live in the same ecosystem that we are in, then please have as much concern for us as you would have for any other living thing.
Right. Hey, Gladys, we have another caller. Rhonda. Gladys, go ahead. Are you a resident in the area?
Hello, yes. I think I'm one of those families that was living there that was forced to move. I was born in 1960, and we moved out of that area in 1962, which was known as Ellenwood then. People who lived in that area called it, which I guess it was also known as Elmwood, the proper name for it. And I was from a really large family, and we were one of those families that the government had forced out. Of course, I didn't know a lot about it because, you know, I'm the youngest of 14, you know, kids. But
Gladys, was that, did the government oust you because of redevelopment, or
it was supposed to have been because of redevelopment. And then, you know, my family didn't want to move, but we ended up moving to Germantown.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's really getting scary to me now because, you know, I'm listening to you, and I have a father-in-law that lives in that area. And every time I go there, I mean, the smell is just, you know,
Yes.
awful. I have to go down there tomorrow even. But the scary part is I just was diagnosed in 1994 with a condition called the sarcoidosis, which is a lung and a joint condition. And the doctors can only tell me that they don't know where you know, the cause of it is unknown origin. And I'm just taking doses of prednisone, you know, every day, you know, like for the rest of my life, it seems like, you know. And I just happened to catch this, you know, just channel surfing. And it's really interesting to hear someone talking about something that, you know, is relative to me.
Wait, Gladys, turn down your television.
I don't think I even have it up.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is probably my voice,
Okay.
you
Great.
know.
But thank you for sharing that story, Gladys. We've been talking about the visible signs of the toxicity, but Gladys talks about the odor that's
Yes,
there.
that is there. It's not past, it's not gone. When I was living there, I assumed because there is a sewage treatment plant near 95, near the airport, and I just assumed that the smell, which is there, it does not go away. I mean, it might be a little less some days, but there are some days where it's overwhelming. And I think most of our neighbors assumed that it was from somewhere else, and we didn't realize that that odor is right there. And it's interesting, Chris, because every time I talk to somebody about this problem, every time I go out to speak, we find more and more people that come to us and say, hey, I know somebody that lived in that area and they have this cancer, or I used to live in this area and my family members, this is what we have. And I mentioned to you, and I don't want to, you know, but Patty LaBelle used to live in that area, and most of her sisters died of cancer. My next door neighbor, Leo Brundage, who works in the struggle, used to play, he and his brother used to play with her sisters in that area.
So it just doesn't touch,
Right.
quote unquote, average folk.
It touches everyone, and it not only touches people now, people are living what the past, you know, by having lived there, they're affected by it. If they work in the area, they're affected by it. So the scope of it is much broader than the people who live there. So I think that's just important to know.
Okay. Now, we've talked about all of the manifestations of the years of toxic buildup. You're organizing, you're getting other folks to organize. We've had a number of callers that have similar stories about the results of this toxicity we've done to get the word out, to get the politicians on board.
Okay, I think if you don't mind, I'd like to give out my number so that if people want to call in to join our group, the Citizens of Lower Darby Creek, they can do that. That's a first step. And what we are doing now, we are meeting the first Tuesday and third Tuesday of every month at the Mercy Wellness Center, which is located on Island Avenue near Lindbergh. And we are organizing to bring visibility to this problem and action to this problem so that there can be a resolution. Our immediate goal is to have people removed from the area. They don't know how long or how much money it will take to clean it up, but it's not humane to require people to live in an area which by governmental mistake, inaction, you know, whatever, has caused people to live in this area exposed to toxins. And then we want the area remediated or cleaned up. Those are the goals of our organization. And if people want more information, they can certainly call me and become involved in our action, in our activity. Is that okay?
Yes, it is. And actually, Levin, who's on the line right now, does this sound something, I guess, a cause that you can rally behind? Are you a resident of the area?
No, I'm not a resident of the area, but I had a two-part question.
Sure. Make it quick, Levin.
Okay, I'd just like to know why people don't realize that this is the only earth that we have, and, you know, we can't go anywhere other than this. And because people are dumping these things in the earth, I mean, like you said, that type of stuff doesn't go away. It stays there, and they have to, the government has to get some kind of funds or something, or have stiffer penalties on the businesses and establishments to do these things to get this stuff cleaned up. I mean, it's a problem.
All right. Thanks, Levin. Why don't folks take better care? Are the individuals that are dumping coming from outside of the money? Money. Just comes down to money.
Yeah, it's profit before people, and we see that when corporations or businesses can go, or individuals can go unchecked, who are powerful, and so when you talk about waste management and the history of waste management in this country, you will find that it's very difficult to find places to dump this stuff, and so historically it has been dumped in areas, rural areas now are facing this problem. We find I've become an environmentalist.
You would have asked me.
Yeah,
right.
a black environmentalist, okay? But we find that if you look statewide, the struggle that we have in Eastwick and in Delaware County, and I want to emphasize that the problem that we have is not just Eastwick's problem. If you live in Tinicum, if you live in Foldcroft, if you live in Darby Borough or Darby Township, then you are going to be exposed to this problem, because the different sites are not just Clearview. They're the tank farm, they're the former incinerator, they're all of these areas. We owe it to our lives and the lives of our children and the lives of our community to become aware of what's going on. The cancer that you have may be related to it, but the cancer that you prevent may be your child's.
Very good. We have about, I guess, 10 seconds in terms of a wrap out. Please,
yes,
please do so.
I'd love to give my number. My number, if you have any questions, 215 area code 972-0400. I am an attorney, so if you call and you get a law office, don't say, you know, that's just where I work, and as soon as I get the information, I will, you know, pass it on to all of the other members of the group. And please come, first and third Tuesday of the month, Mercy Wellness Center, second floor.
Right. And even more quickly, what are they going to hear when they get to this meeting?
How we are organizing to make a change and to make a difference and to get out of there and to get the area cleaned up.
Thank you very much. We want to thank Rhonda for joining us, and thank you for watching Philly Live. Tomorrow night, Henry talks with KYW News veteran Larry Kane about his new book. And now, an even closer look at this environmental tragedy as recorded by 2 local filmmakers. Up next, Toxic Waters. For Philly Live, I'm Christopher Ridenauer. Have a great evening.